Hi there, and thank you for joining us for more. Our objective with this show is to be of service to you. It doesn't matter to us if you're seeking inspiration, motivation, amusement, entertainment, a break from the predictability of your day, even if you're looking for a process or a plan. In fact, even if you're just curious and you're joining us, we welcome you, because it doesn't really matter, you see. We live in a universe that works by laws. They're predictable, they're repeatable, and they're understandable laws. The law of cause and effect, for example. It's very critical to understand. It dictates that everything we put attention and emotional energy on, good or bad, will eventually show up in our lives. Therefore, the more you can focus your energies on what more there is for you, either by actively directing it or by gaining strength and energy from the stories of those who have. It's the power of focusing your intent that will bring these truths into your realm of reality. With us today is Frank O'Day, one of Canada's most successful and celebrated entrepreneurs. Frank used his belief in more to change his life. He went from living on the street to finding his own more and has founded numerous businesses, most notably the Second Cup. His achievements in the not-for-profit sector are equally impressive. They're numerous, and he has co-founded Street Kids International and the Canadian Landmine Foundation, amongst others. Frank's depth of soul and character have awarded him 2 honorary university degrees, as well as the Order of Canada. He is currently the chair of the Royal Roads University Foundation and a CEO. We've said before that this is to be a business talk show that explores more than just what imagines when they consider a business talk show. It's a call from tycoons to the tycoons in all of us. The word tends to be considered in a negative way, and yet being a tycoon really means taking actions and bringing about results in your own life or in a business sense. Frank, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us and talk about your experience as a tycoon.
It's fun to be here.
Thanks. So how does a person who once lived on the street asking for money to buy a cup of coffee or a bottle of wine then get credited for having started Canada's biggest coffee boutique?
That's quite a story. The beginning of the beginning of this whole piece is who am I, and where does this all begin? You know, it's each of us has to find in our own sense of being what it is we want to accomplish in life. There's somebody once wiser than I said, God gave us 2 gifts when we were born. 1, a vision of ourselves, and 2, the talents and abilities to create that vision. Our job is to find the vision. I destroyed mine. I destroyed mine with alcohol and drugs, and I used the worst of all those things to take me to Skid Row. And I was living in a flop house and panhandling for nickels and dimes on Yonge Street, just destroying everything that was me. But I couldn't destroy it anymore. At one point, I couldn't go any further. And what I mean about not going any further, I don't mean that I couldn't drink anymore, or I couldn't get any more fights, or I couldn't get arrested again, or any of those things. What I meant was that I could no longer trade off every value that I'd been taught as a child. And I had done that. I had given everything away. You couldn't trust me with anything. And I couldn't do that anymore. And when I got to that point, I changed. And I stopped it. And when I stopped it, I began looking for more. What is the answer? What do I need to be? And the first thing I needed to be was sober. I needed to make a contribution to life. I needed to make a contribution to society. I needed to make a contribution to myself. So what was my vision? My vision was that I could be sober, that I could make a contribution, that I could have family and friends and all the things that I'd given up. That was the beginning. And when I sobered up, then I got a job. And once I had a job, then I could get a better one, and I worked my way through that process. It doesn't happen because I wanted one. It happened because I worked through the process. I took the action that was necessary to get there. And by 1974, I sobered up in 1971. In 1974, I was living in Oakville, selling big construction equipment and running a political campaign. And out of that came a connection to a friend that became a business, that became a Second Cup, and it grew from there.
So what changed? What allowed you to hear the voice finally? You knew that you were selling out on your values all the way, I heard you say, and that's impressive. So I just wonder, how did you know you were selling out on your values?
You know, you can sell them out for so long until you can't anymore. When there's nothing left, it's a little like selling out your soul. Eventually the soul stops and you can't go any further. And I got lucky. I had a moment of truth where I could no longer go any further. It wasn't And as sum of all the things I had done, it was a point at which I arrived that I could go no further. And that's when I changed.
That's great. See, when the concept of more gets presented to you, where does your mind naturally go when you think of more? Now.
Well, when I think of more now, where is the question from my perspective now at 63 years old? Where's more? More now is about family. It's about my kids who are 13 and 14, Taylor Morgan, my wife Nancy. It's about growing that family unit in a safe and comfortable environment and doing whatever I can to do that. But at the same token, there's really 4 areas of my life. One is my business and my career. I run a fairly significant business today. I'm CEO of that company. I need to grow that for myself and my shareholders. So I need to pay attention to that, and I have a vision for that. I have a vision for my family and my friends. I want to be a great dad, and I want to be a great husband. And those mean acting in a certain way. And if I want to be a great husband, I can't be cheating on my wife. Or if I want to be a great dad, I can't be beating them. Those are the kinds of things that I need to have if that's my vision. And if I take, then the other areas of my life are spirituality. I need to know who I am in this universe. What's my contribution to the world? What am I supposed to be doing for this world? How do I leave this place a better place? You know, some people care very much about the environment, and they make those contributions. Others have different things. I've created a number of not-for-profits which have left the world a better place. That's what I want to do. I want to continue to do that. And the last area of my life is health. Because without health, nothing matters, right? If I'm not well. So how do I do that? Well, my first objective is to be 185 pounds. If I'm that, then I'm well. I eat properly, I exercise properly in order to get there. So those are the visions. Then the action to do all of that comes automatically out of it. So when I say to myself, what is more? More is about understanding those visions and being able to contribute to them so each day it gets better.
What's going to be what's the barometer that you use then? Because I'm hearing both a mixture of outside and inside.
Absolutely.
So what's the barometer?
The most important barometer is putting your feet up at the end of the day and saying, how did I do?
And do you do that actively?
It's not every day, but I do it often enough that I care because I know I've made a difference. And that's what makes the difference. It isn't about the money I made. It's about the difference I've made. Those are the things that I care about.
We're going to have to go to a quick break, so please stay tuned with us. And Frank is going to highlight how he used the universal law of cause and effect to realize his own reality. What are the takeaways that we can apply to our own lives? We can think about that as he's doing that. So stay with us. Welcome back to More, and thanks for your curiosity and for making more part of your awareness. I'm Sheba Varghese, and with me today is Frank O'Day, who's founder of Second Cup. And thanks again, Frank, for being here.
Oh, it's still fun to be here, Sheba.
That's good. So important to have those temperature checks on the way.
Yeah, right.
So as you picked yourself up and you were growing, what stayed constant for you? What changed in terms of how you were even starting to relate to people?
Wow, that's a big question. A lot of things changed because I damaged myself pretty badly when I was on the street. When I was on the street, I was very insular, shy, withdrawn. I really was a frightened little kid. You know, I was 24 years old, but I was frightened. In fact, I remember meeting some years later a woman whom I met very early stages, in the first few days of sobering up. And I had just given a speech, and she came up to me and she said, it's unbelievable because when I first met you, you didn't have the courage even to bring your chair to the table to have a discussion, let alone get up in front of a group and have a conversation. So what changed? What changed is a sense of who I am, what my sense of identity, my sense of what are my gifts and what I can contribute to society. Those are the things that change, and they give me great confidence, you see, because when you have great confidence in who you are, then you can play that role in the world of being who it is. Exactly. So
talk to us a little bit about what you were finding. How did you get to know yourself?
I got to know myself through a lot of prayer and meditation. Meditation was a very big role for me. I spent many years spending 3 times a week meditating. I learned that peace is inside, it isn't outside. I learned that who I am is a product of all that went before me, including in this country. I mean, we live in remarkable circumstance in this country. Most people just take it for granted. Well, when I've traveled to places like Sierra Leone and Ghana and Cambodia and the Balkans and seen war and horror and all that stuff, it changes you. When I came home from Sierra Leone, my wife said I had completely changed because I valued our country, I valued my family. My kids could run around on lawns, where in Sierra Leone with landmines you can't. I mean, this is a wonderful place. It gives us a great opportunity, but along with that comes a responsibility.
But go back to more of the introspection. Say more about kind of the time when you spent that time getting to know yourself. You said that things that really changed things. So what became clear?
What became clear? I think what became clear was the values on which life was based. I very much believe that integrity, a sense of who we are in the world, is so important to how we act in the world. If I understand what it is I want to accomplish, and that I want to do it with integrity, then I will do all of the things that will take me there without stress, without strain. It becomes a way of life as opposed to something that's forced.
But now you said a really interesting thing in our earlier discussion, just about the role that vision has played for you as that has unfolded. So I'm not sure if those two, if maybe I'm just not catching it, but maybe you can bring those two together again.
The fundamental words, I suppose, that sum up my life are hope, vision, and action. I really believe that without hope you can have no vision. I was hopeless on Skid Row. I understand what hopelessness means, where hope is just a flicker. And when one has hope, then you can have a vision of who you are.
So say more about that, because I'm not automatically getting that, but I'm sure that there's so many that could get it better if I don't know.
If my vision is for a better world, if I'm hopeless, I will not have that vision. If I'm hopeless, I will have a vision about. If I'm hopeless, I probably won't have any vision. But if I have even a little bit of hope, when I was on Skid Row, my biggest hope was to get 99 cents, because that's as far as my horizon would go, so I can get a bottle of wine. As hope grew, I could have a different vision. I could have a vision for myself, for my family, for my community, for my world. That's what hope allows. And then once I have that vision, and each of us can have our own vision, but once I had mine, then I could take the actions that's associated with getting there. And the choices I make in life become automatic. They become clearly automatic because I know where I'm going. If I have to think through every decision as to how it fits, then I haven't got a vision clear in my mind.
Wow.
Then it's purely opportunistic. And I don't think opportunism will take you through life.
There's a place for opportunism.
Absolutely. Grab it as you can.
You
but
bet.
that's different from it's got to fit in the overall vision.
So if
it will be no good for you to offer me a job as a mechanic, even if it paid $1 million a year. It wouldn't fit with my vision. I would have to say no. So opportunism in that case would not work. But if you offered me an opportunity to create a foundation that will clear the world of landmines, that speaks to my vision.
So a couple things that I heard you say occurred in order for this journey to,
Sorry.
we're spinning around on these, is that your timeline changed. That you went from kind of the 99 cents daily pursuit to then starting to have maybe longer timelines. Can you kind of...
Well, it's longer timeline. It's a little... I fly an airplane today, okay? And when I take off, I have a certain horizon. As I climb up to 27,000 feet, my horizon expands dramatically. It's the same thing with hope. A little bit of hope, I can't see very far.
Okay, but still, let's take it. Let's go granular. Let's go the days when you were still aspiring just for that bottle of wine to share with the buddies. Okay, great. Then something changed, and then you started to say, wait a minute, there's got to be more, like you said, in terms of just day by day. So then what happened? When you started to become intentional, what types of things started to change, happen, take place? What?
Just everything changes. Absolutely everything changes. It doesn't come with a formula.
So then let's make it about intentionality. Say something to me then about what you have found the power of intentionality to be in your life.
Well, intentionality is about, let me go this way, if I can give an example.
Sure.
When I was 35 years old, I'd made some money. I'd had some successes. By the way, I sold Second Cup. I don't know.
You can still drink there.
Yeah, I still drink that. I said to myself, what do I want to be when I'm 55? So it's intentionality. I said I want to have enough money that my kids aren't, I don't have to worry about the next meal. I want to be married, I want to have a couple of kids, I want to serve on some boards, and I want to contribute on the international stage. That's the vision. And it really speaks to 4 areas of my life. And so that's my vision. And then I took the appropriate actions to get there. And guess what? At 55, I had all of that.
So going back to the law of cause and effect.
Exactly.
So say more about it.
Say more about it. The cause and effect is that if I want to get to a certain direction, I have to take it.
It just happened. You put the cause out there, the effects were clear. I mean, sure,
I was
sorry.
telling you earlier,
Sure.
When I read a book at 13, I said to my mother, I'll have $1 million when I'm 35. I didn't know what either one of those were. At 35, I had $1 million. It's about knowing yourself.
And so as it relates to knowing yourself, how did your own standards, personal standards, change? Because the reason I ask that question now, Frank, is to highlight that in this journey, we're going to be struck with certain realities. And we need to kind of, not need to, it might be valuable. The clearer we can have a sense of how that's going to impact us or how that's going to call us to action, I just think that's going to make it easier for people so they don't get blindsided when it does happen. Because inevitably, you are no longer the same Frank.
I'm not sure I agree with you.
Great, let's take it further.
I think I was the same Frank, but I had buried a lot of that stuff. All the values that I learned as a child, I'd buried. I'd sold it off. I'd done whatever. I'd damaged it. But as I became sober and it became part of life, I began to reacquire all of those values. I don't think it changed.
But then where did the standards change? Because that had
What's the difference between a standard and a value?
Well, both are the same, but neither of them were being honored, is what I'm hearing you say.
Right.
Once you started to acknowledge more of your values, I'm curious what associated changes you saw in terms of your own standards.
I'm still not following the question
Sorry.
because I don't know what the difference between a standard and a value is.
Okay, so you know what? Let's take another quick break. I'll kind of get clearer in my mind, and then we'll talk about it some more. So you're watching more. Please stay tuned with us, and we'll be back. Hi there and welcome back. You are watching More, and I'm here with Frank O'Day, renowned entrepreneur and example of excellence.
And here we are.
Here we are. So, to make sure that we're all clear, you went from living on the street to receiving the Order of Canada.
Correct.
Okay, so you're saying your standards didn't really change, you're always the same Frank O'Day.
Right.
There's a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah, but the things I put up with then and the things I put up with now are significantly different. I hated living on the street. I hated all of that. I had no choice, it seemed to me, because I was involved in an addiction. So I was addicted to alcohol and drugs, and as a result of that, I had to put up with a lot of things I would otherwise never put up with, and certainly wouldn't today, and certainly wouldn't want to have that experience for my children or my wife or any of those people. So absolutely not. But by the same token, the values that I had as a child were the same values I have today, and I had to sell them off or subsume them in order to live the way I lived. When I started to sober up and clear up, all those values came back. And that's the beauty of it. You see, when the Governor General asked me, she said, would I get up and thank the most important person of my life? She gave me 5 seconds to make up my mind. So she said, I'm going to ask 5 people, and you're first, Frank. Get up. So as she was saying that, I'm going through the mental Rolodex, who is, and I got up and I talked about my dad. Because of my dad, whom I was very close to, who taught me the values of a child. And it was those same values that brought me through to the end and got me out of alcoholism and made me successful. So values are critically important. So if there are viewers who are saying, geez, what about my kids? And I have trouble with my kids and all that sort of stuff, as I am with my 13 and 14-year-old, I always remind myself that I teach them the proper values. Because if they have the right values, they'll come through whatever their challenges are. And when we all have challenges, rely on the values we knew as a child. Remember who your friends are. Remember what honesty is, integrity, those kinds of things. Do those things well, and you'll come through the worst parts of your life.
Wow, I love that. I love that as a mother, and I love that as a person. I love that because it means that like, where do our values come from then? Like, that's so exciting. The values as kids that we have on to, you're saying at 63 years old, are still the same values
Absolutely.
that you attribute all your success to.
Absolutely.
That's so powerful.
It is powerful, and that's the value of being a parent, because that is the
Not even just
greatest
as a parent.
message.
It is, but that's exclusive, right? And it's not exclusive because not everybody is a parent. But it's the power of that
But
values.
every child has a parent.
Every child, fair enough, that's fair enough. And I guess so when I think about the role of the values in our lives, were those our parents who arbitrarily gave that to us? Where did we learn to have a value for justice or for integrity? Because there are lots of people that don't, right?
My suggestion to you is, for the most part, it came from our parents.
That's great.
That doesn't mean that people don't trade them off as I did.
No, and I definitely can say that values are, because I know that there are values in my life that are very important to me, that one couldn't necessarily see show up in my upbringing.
Right.
And so I always ask myself, like, where the heck did I get stuck with this value for? Because it can be a curse, integrity being one of them, right?
Absolutely.
It's the mother of all values, if you will. And so I just like what you're saying, because that's exciting. So if we recap kind of in terms of the needs that you were taught, kind of the things that contributed to your own evolution. The sounds like, to me, it started with just kind of I don't know, was it the law of cause and effect? Was it intentionality? Which came first for you? What would you say kind of was the first foot forward, first step?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by cause.
Well, when you
and
started the
effect.
journey, because it had to start, right?
Which
Why that one day
start?
versus the day before when you got an idea?
That was a miracle, I think. I'm not so sure that it was generated by me.
Well, come on, miracles are generated by ourselves.
Well, maybe I was in the right place in the right time. Maybe,
Cause and effect.
You know, I don't know how many times before that day I had the same opportunity. I said no. But that day I said yes. I don't think that it just was one point. I think there were many times. I was one time sitting in front of an employer. It was the human resource department, and they were saying, I've got your records here. I think you've got a drinking problem. Huge opportunity to do something. I said, no, I don't have any problem. He said, then you're fired. Great. I had the opportunity then, I turned it down. How many other times did I have that opportunity? And yet that one day, I was ready.
That's great. When you talk about the role of gratitude now, or if we talk about gratitude now, what are you most grateful for?
Grateful for the opportunity. Grateful for the opportunity to live, to contribute, to make a difference. That's what I'm grateful for.
So let's talk a little bit about your book before we go. You talked about hope, vision, and action. To sum that up in your bestseller. Talk to us a little bit about that.
My book is called When All You Have Is Hope. And I was asked to do this book by Penguin, and I struggled with it. I didn't want to do it because it's very raw, it's very difficult, it's not something you want to relive on an ongoing basis. But I felt if I was going to do the book, I had to be honest and tell the story, and that's what I've done. And I am very happy to say that it has sold very well, and it seems to be helping a lot of people, which was the purpose of the book.
And so how do you think how do you think that is? How does your book around hope and vision and action inspire?
How does it help people? I think it helps people because it's a gutsy story about a guy that sort of climbed up out of some very difficult circumstance and made it through. And I think it gives people a sense of being able to do it for themselves. And I would like to share that with others, and that's what I try to do in the book.
Frank, the country's better for your journey and your struggle, and so I'm sorry that it came in a challenging way for you, but I do enjoy your coffee. The coffee's at the second cup, and I enjoyed your story, and I enjoyed your courage and your vulnerability and your willingness to want to give more to people who are, in different places in their own lives and seeking. You've taken the time to come in with us today, and it's been appreciated, and we thank you for celebrating your journey with those of us who believe and know the true path to success is solitary and personal. Self-actualization is the only way to have it all, and that's by getting back in touch with our values and who we are and who God intends us to be. So thank you for your time, and like I've said to you before, guys, that's where it all begins, with our commitment to increase our awareness and be honest with ourselves and then start to take risk. The universal laws are fair. When we use the dictates of cause and effect, the possibilities are endless because there's more. So please know that you're invited back each week to join us in our journey towards more. And until then, if you have any thoughts, ideas, or questions, please contact us via the blog. And again, thank you for joining us on More. And remember, in all that you do, do it for truth.